start with introduction, the human fetus inside the uterus is sterile. But as soon as it passes through the birth canal, it acquires vaginal and fecal microorganisms. Within 2 weeks, a nearly mature microbiota is established in the gut of the newborn baby. After weaning, that is greater than 2 years, the entire human microbiota is formed and comprises a very complex collection of hundreds of different types of bacteria that totals approximately 10 to the power 14 microbial cells. From this moment on, our body contains 10 times more bacteria than human cells. It has been estimated that for a normal, healthy human being, the bacterial population comprises 2 kilograms of total body weight. This is fascinating if one realizes that average human brain weighs only about 1.4 kilogram. The colonization of the oral cavity also starts close to the time of birth. Within hours of birth, the sterile oral cavity will be colonized by low numbers of mainly facultative and aerobic bacteria. At that time, the oral microbiota of newborns closely resembles the mother's vaginal microbiota, or the newborns delivered by cesarean section, the vaginal microbiota resembles the mother's skin microbiota. From the second day, the anaerobic bacteria can be detected in the infant's edentulous mouth. The number of oral bacteria increases gradually as a result of exposure to external environmental microbial sources. Streptococcus salivarius and Streptococcus mitis have been identified as the first and most dominant oral microbes to colonize the oral cavity of newborn infants. Pionella species, Neisseria species, Actinomycos species, and Staphylococcus species are also among the first colonizers of the oral cavity. After the tooth eruption, a more complex oral microbiota is established. The species that colonize the teeth after eruption include Streptococcus sanguis, Lactobacillus species, and Streptococcus oralis. Oral streptococci includes Streptococcus oralis, Streptococcus sanguinis, Streptococcus mutans, Streptococcus sobrannus, Streptococcus gordoni are commonly reported to be present after the first year of life. In addition, anaerobes including Fusobacterium species and Prevotalis species can also be detected in young children. In later childhood, the bacterial diversity and numbers in the oral cavity increase as more teeth erupt and provide more areas for adherence and retention of bacteria. Because of the paucity of longitudinal studies, relatively little is known about the initial colonization of key microbes found in the oral cavity of children and adults. It is estimated that more than 500 different species are capable of colonizing the adult mouth. Coming to the history, the year 1897, Leon Williams described about the dental plaque. In 1899, G.V. Black coined the term gelatinous dental plaque. In the year 1950, Fairhack described the importance of bacterial plaque in the etiology of periodontal disease. In the year 1959 and 1967, Shea and Russell describe the epidemiological studies in positive correlation between the amount of bacterial plaque and severity of gingivitis. The year 1965, Lowe and et al. Made a landmark study on the plaque, saying that plaque is the main etiological agent in periodontal diseases. The year 1976, Walter Loesch described about the modern theories of specificity of dental plaque. In 1994, P.D. Marsh described about the ecological plaque hypothesis. Coming to the ecological systems, on the basis of physical and morphological criteria, the oral cavity can be divided into 6 major ecosystems called niches, each with the following distinct ecological determinants. The intraoral and supragingival hard surfaces, which includes teeth, implants, restoration and processes, forms the first ecological system. The second is subgingival areas adjacent to the hard surface, including the periodontal and peri-implant pocket, is characterized by the presence of crevicular fluid, root cementum or implant surface, and the pocket epithelium. The third is buccal palatal epithelium and epithelium of the floor of the mouth. Number 4, dorsum of the tongue. Number 5, tonsils. Number 6, saliva. Coming to the tooth deposits are classified as materia alba, dental plaque, and calculus. Materia alba, it is a white cheese-like accumulation on the tooth surface. It is also a soft accumulation of salivary proteins, some bacteria, desquamative epithelial cells, and occasionally disintegrated food debris. It lacks an organized structure and is therefore not as complex as dental plaque. It is easily displaced by water spray. Coming to dental plaque, it is defined clinically as a structured, resilient, gray, yellowish substance that adheres tenaciously to intraoral hard surface, including removable and fixed restorations. The tough extracellular matrix makes it impossible to remove plaque by rinsing it or with the use of spray. The dental plaque is thus differentiated from other deposits that may be found on the tooth surface, such as materia alba and calculus. Calculus is defined as the hard deposit that forms the mineralization of dental plaque and is generally covered by a layer of unmineralized plaque. Coming to classification of dental plaque. Dental plaque is classified as supragingival plaque and subgingival plaque. As the name implies, supragingival plaque is found at or above the gingival margin. Supragingival plaque in direct contact with the margin is referred as marginal plaque. Subgingival plaque is found below the gingival margin between the tooth and the gingival sulcular tissue. This is the diagrammatic representation of subgingival plaque, where you can see the tooth attached plaque on one side and the epithelial attached plaque on the other side. In between, you can see the unattached plaque. Below that, you can see the bacteria within the connective tissue and also the bacteria on the bone surface. Coming to composition of dental plaque. Dental plaque is composed primarily of microorganisms enhanced with the extracellular matrix. 1 gram of plaque contains approximately 10 to the power 11 bacteria. The plaque is composed of 80% of water and 20% of solid substance. In that, 20% of solid substance contains mainly of microorganisms, which is 70 to 80%, where you can find more than 500 species. 1 gram of plaque approximately 2 into 10 to the power 11 of bacteria. 1 gram of pure streptococcal cells, when packed by centrifugation, it contains 2.3 into 10 to the power 11 bacteria. Non-bacterial microorganisms are mycoplasma, yeast, protozoa, and viruses. 20 to 30% of the plaque constitutes the intercellular matrix, which has organic matrix and inorganic matrix. The organic matrix has 30% of polysaccharides, which has bacteria, dextran, levain, and galactose. 30% of protein, which has albumin, which is derived from the gingival crevicular fluid. Glycoprotein derived from the saliva. 50% of lipids, which is debris from disrupted bacteria, host cells, and food debris. Inorganic matrix predominantly calcium and phosphorus. Trace elements are sodium, potassium, and fluoride. The subgingival plaque has attached plaque, unattached plaque, and attached to the epithelium. The attached plaque is also known as tooth associated, where it has gram-positive bacteria, predominantly rods and cocci. It does not extend to the junction epithelium. It may penetrate the cementum. It is a main causative for the calculus formation and the root caries. Whereas in the case of unattached plaque, predominantly it has gram-negative rods and cocci, filaments, and spirochetes. It also extends to the junction epithelium. It's the main causative factor for the gingivitis. Whereas the subgingival plaque attached to the epithelium, it has variable amount of gram-positive and gram-negative rods. It also extends to the junction epithelium, may penetrate the epithelium and the connective tissue. It's the main causative factor for gingivitis and particularly periodontitis. The term biofilm describes the relatively indefinable microbial community associated with the tooth surface or any other hard non-shedding material. The biofilm consists of one or more communities of microorganisms embedded in glycocalyx that are attached to solid surfaces. Bacteria and their biofilm mode of living. The biofilm are composed of microbial cells enhanced with matrix of extracellular polymeric substances such as polysaccharides, proteins, and nucleic acid. Biofilms are heterogeneous in nature. Water channels are commonly found in biofilms, and these can form primitive circulatory system that removes waste products and brings fresh nutrients to the deeper layer. The intercellular matrix consists of organic and inorganic materials derived from saliva, gingival crevicular fluid, and bacterial products. The organic material comprises of 30% of polysaccharides produced by bacteria and dextran, 30% by the protein, in which the albumin, which is originating from the gingival crevicular fluid, has been identified as the component of plaque matrix. The glycoproteins is derived from the saliva. 50% of the lipids is consists of debris from the disrupted bacteria, host cells and food debris. The inorganic material is predominantly calcium, sodium, phosphorus, potassium and fluorides. The source of inorganic material in supragingival plaque is primarily saliva. The source of inorganic material in subgingival plaque is gingival crevicular fluid. The backbone of the biofilm is exopolysaccharides. The bulk of the biofilm consists of matrix composed predominantly of water and aqueous solids. Maintaining the integrity and protecting the microbial cells within the biofilm by preventing desiccation and attack by harmful agents. They bind the essential nutrients such as cations to create a nutritionally rich environment favoring specific microorganisms. They act as a buffer and assist in retaining extracellular enzymes and their substrate, enhancing the substrate utilization by bacterial cells. Non-bacterial organisms we see in the plaque are Mycoplasma species, yeast, protozoa and viruses. Coming to the formation of dental plaque, it has three important stages. Stage 1, formation of dental pellicle, initial adhesion or attachment of the bacteria, secondary colonization and plaque maturation. Formation of acquired pellicle. Acquired pellicle may be defined as the homogeneous membranous acellular film that covers the tooth surface and frequently form the interface between the tooth and dental plaque and calculus. The fully established pellicle is found within 30 minutes. Within 24 hours, the pellicle is around 0.1 to 0.8 micrometer in diameter. Derived from the components of saliva and crevicular fluid as well as bacterial and host tissue cells, product and food debris. It consists of numerous components including glycoprotein, that is mucins, protein-rich proteins, phosphoproteins, example staurin, histidine-rich proteins, enzymes such as alpha amylase and other molecules that can function as adhesion sites for bacterial receptors. Functions of dental pellicle is it acts as a protective barrier, aids lubrication, prevent tissue desiccation, act as a substrate to which the bacteria attaches. It also transfer to the surface, initial adhesion and attachment of bacteria, colonization of surface and biofilm formation. The specific interaction between the microbial cell surface adhesion molecule and receptors in the salivary pellicle will determine if the bacterial cell remains associated with the surface. Over the first 4 to 8 hours, 60 to 80% bacteria are members of Streptococcus genus. Early colonizers, example Streptococci and Actinomyces, use oxygen and lower reduction oxidation potential of environment, which then favors the growth of anaerobic species. Secondary colonization and plaque maturation. Primary colonizing bacteria adhere to the tooth surface, provide new receptors for attachment by other bacteria as a part of process called as co-adhesion. When many genetically different bacteria adhere together, they form clumps and it is called as co-aggregation. Secondary colonizers are the microorganisms that do not initially colonize the clean food surfaces includes Prevotella intermedia, Prevotella loci, Capnocytophaga, Fusobacterium nucleatum and Porphyromonas gingivalis. Recent analysis of more than 13,000 plaque samples of 40 subgingival microorganisms using a DNA hybridization methodology was used to define complexes of periodontal microorganisms. Interestingly, the early colonizers are either independent of defined complexes such as Actinomycus neslundii, Actinomycus viscosus, or members of yellow complex such as Streptococcus species or purple complex Actinomycosis odontolyticus. Microorganisms primarily considered secondary colonizers fall into green complex, orange complex, or red complex. The green complex includes Echinella cordons, Actinobacillus actinomycetum comitans, Capnocytophaga species. The orange complex includes Fusobacterium, Prevotella, and Campylobacter species. The green and orange complex include species recognized as pathogens in the periodontal and non-periodontal infections. The red complex includes Porphyromonas gingivalis, Porphyromonas and Denticola. The red complex is of particular interest because it's associated with bleeding on probing, which is an important clinical parameter of respective periodontal disease. Special examples of co-aggregations are concave formation. Streptococci adhere to the filaments of Corynebacterium metastroti and Actinomycosis species. Test tube brush formation composed of filamentous bacteria to which the gram-negative rods adhere. Factors that affect the supragingival dental plaque formation. Topography of the supragingival plaque, surface micro roughness, individual variables that influence plaque formation, variation within the dentitions, impact of gingival inflammation and saliva. Biofilms and antimicrobial resistance. Bacteria growing in communities adhere to a surface do not behave the same way as bacteria growing suspended in liquid environments, that is planktonic or unattached state. The resistance of bacteria to antibiotic increases in the biofilm, 1000 to 1500 times resistant to antibiotics as compared to their planktonic state. The biofilm has a property that can retard the antibiotic penetration. For example, strongly charged or chemically highly reactive agents can fail to reach the deeper zones of biofilm because biofilm act as an ion exchange resin that removes such molecules from solution. In addition, extracellular enzymes such as beta-lactamases, formaldehyde lyase, and formaldehyde dehydrogenase may become trapped and concentrated in extracellular matrix. As such, inactivate some antibiotics, especially positively charged hydrophilic antibiotics. But microlites, which are positively charged but hydrophobic, are unaffected by this process. Antibiotic resistance can spread through biofilm via the intercellular exchange of DNA. Bacterial transmission and translocation. Transmission of pathogen from one locus to another is an important aspect of infectious diseases. Periodontal pathogens are transmissible within the members of the family. Intraoral translocation of the bacteria do occurs. One-stage full-mouth disinfection technique by Curinen and et al. Showed attempted to suppress the translocation of periopathogen from all their intraoral habitants. This results in gain in attachment, reduction of pocket depth, and lower the number of pathogenic microorganisms. Coming to microbial specificity of periodontal diseases. There are three hypotheses for dental plaque. Number one, non-specific plaque hypothesis. Number two, specific plaque hypothesis. Number three, ecological plaque hypothesis. Starting with non-specific plaque hypothesis. According to this hypothesis, periodontal disease results from elaboration of noxious product by the entire plaque flora. It was thought that periodontal disease was believed to result from an accumulation of plaque over time in conjunction with the decreased response and increased post susceptibility with age. This shows that control of periodontal disease depends on control of plaque accumulation. Treatment of periodontitis by debridement and oral hygiene measures focus on the removal of plaque and its product. Some individuals with considerable amount of plaque calculus gingivitis never develop destructive periodontitis. Site specificity in the pattern of disease. Coming to specific plaque hypothesis, only certain plaque is pathogenic. And pathogenicity depends on the presence of increase in the specific microorganism. The acceptance of this was confirmed by the recognition of Aggregatibacter actinomycetin commitans as a pathogen in the localized aggressive periodontitis. Treatment may only be necessary in those patients diagnosed as having the specific infection and may be terminated once the pathogenic agents are eliminated. Ecological plaque hypothesis. The organism associated with the diseases may also be present at sound state, but at the level too low to be clinically relevant. Disease is a result of a shift in the balance of the resident microflora derived by the change in local environment conditions. The bacterial composition of the plaque remains relatively stable despite regular exposure to minor environment. This microbial homeostasis is due to a dynamic balance of both synergistic and antagonistic microbial interactions. Example, the frequent exposure of plaque to low pH leads to inhibition of acid sensitive species and selection of organisms with an acidic physiology. Similarly, plaque accumulation around gingival margin leads to an inflammatory host response and an increased flow of GCF. The subgingival microflora shifts from being mainly gram-positive to composed of increased level of obligatory anaerobic acyclic gram-negative organism. This is the diagrammatic representative of ecological plaque hypothesis by P.D. Marsh. Here you can see increase in the stress and increase in the sugar will result in change in the pH level, followed by the ecological shift which results in caries or disease. Coming to the subgingival microorganisms associated with the periodontal diseases. Spirochetes and Bacterius intermediates is responsible for acute necrotizing ulcerative gingivitis. Aggregative bacter Actinomycetum comitans is the organism responsible for chronic periodontitis along with Prevotella intermedia, Bacteria forsythus, P. gingivalis, Capnocytophaga, Echinella cordans, Eubacterium species, Fusobacterium nucleatum, and Bionella recta. The prime causative organism for aggressive periodontitis is aggregative bacteria Actinomycetum comitans for localized aggressive periodontitis, and in the case of generalized aggressive periodontitis, Prevotella intermedia, P. gingivalis, Capnocytophaga species, and Echinella cordans. Parphonomonas gingivalis, Fusobacterium species, Capnocytophaga species, and Vibrio species is responsible for periodontal lapses. Periodontitis associated with insulin-dependent diabetes mellitus is aggregative bacteria Actinomycetum comitans, anaerobic Vibrio, Campylobacter rectus, and Capnocytophaga species. Periodontitis associated with non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus are Prevotella intermedia, Parphonomonas gingivalis, Fusobacterium species, and Bionella recta. In the case of pregnancy gingivitis, main organism is Prevotella intermedia. Coming to refractory or recurrent periodontitis, the organism responsible is aggregative bacteria Actinomycetum comitans, Bacteria forsythus, Parphonomonas gingivalis, Parphonomonas intermedia, and Bionella recta. Coming to specific plaque hypothesis revisited, the disease is associated with specific strains of given species. Likely that most, if not all, recognized periodontal pathogen demonstrated difference in phenotypic properties related to ability to cause the disease. Genetic basis for variability in virulence properties among pathogenic strains to cause periodontal disease. Leukotoxin is one of the main virulence factor for aggregative bacter Actinomycetum comitans. It belongs to a family of pore-forming toxins. It is characterized by a series of glycine-rich repeats in C-terminal portion of the protein involved in cation binding and appear to be essentially to toxin activity. It is designated as repeat in toxin. It has ability to kill the neutrophils, monocytes, and lymphocytes, but it does not affect the platelets, fibroblasts, endothelial, and epithelial cells. The target cell susceptibility is due to cell surface expression of the beta-2 integrin molecule, lymphocyte function associated antigen 1. The mechanism of action of leukotoxin are necrosis, apoptosis, adhesion, bacteriocin. Necrosis, due to the ability of leukotoxin A, they form pores in the membrane of the target cells, leading osmotic lysis caused by water influx into the cells. Lower concentration results in apoptosis, whereas higher concentration results in necrosis. Virulence factors of actinomycetin commitans such as characteristics promoting growth colonization, adhesion, mediated bacterial cell adherence and attachment to epithelial cells, to other bacteria and to extracellular matrix protein. Bacteriocin, it inhibits the growth or killing of other bacterial species. Example, Streptococcus sanguis and Actinomyces viscosus and other actinomycetin committing strains. Invasions, they aid in bacteria penetrating eukaryotic cells. Iron repressible protein, iron regulated protein, enhancement of iron utilization from the environment or the host. Coming to immunoinhibitory characteristics, chemotaxis inhibitor. It disrupts and inhibits the neutrophil chemotaxis. Fc binding protein, it inhibits the complement activation, downregulation of B cell response. Resistant to killing and phagocytosis. Inhibition of neutrophil ability to produce antibacterial compounds or intrinsic resistance to antibacterial compounds. Ig proteases, degradation of IgG, serum IgG and IgM. Capsular polysaccharides, the resistance to phagocytosis by neutrophils, reduction in complement dependent response by neutrophils, increase in bone resorption. Surface antigen, it aids in avoiding antibodies and antibody production. Immunosuppressive factors, inhibition of DNA, RNA and protein synthesis in T lymphocytes, production of IgG and IgM in B lymphocytes, downregulation of cytokine production, cytolethal distenting toxin is called lymphocyte distension and death. Toxin from culture supernatant, fibroblast growth inhibition, apoptosis in B lymphocytes. Epitheliotoxin, it aids in penetrating the sulcar epithelium. Lipopolysaccharide cause bone resorption, local Schwarzman reaction, tissue inflammation by inducing inflammatory mediator production from the host cells. Heat shock protein cause bone resorption, epithelial cytotoxicity and proliferation. Surface associated with nuclear, it causes neutrophil cytotoxicity, fibroblast anti-proliferativity and bone resorption. Hemolysin causes the lysis of human red blood cells. Proteinase production, it causes the degradation of host proteins. Phospholipase C, it causes the hydrolyzation of host cell membrane. Extracellular membrane vesicles, mediation of endotoxic, luteotoxic and bone resorption activities. Coming to pathogenic activities of gingipains. Activation of kallikrein and kirin system. Gingipain are a very potent vascular permeability enhancement factors. Gingipain R and K act synergistically in releasing the bradykinin directly from the high molecular weight kininogen. Potentially, it contributes the GCF production and edema formation, provides continuous supply of nutrients necessary for bacterial growth and virulence. It induces the prostaglandin E production. Activation of blood clotting system. It generates the thrombin, enhances the vascular permeability, induces leukocyte chemotaxis, GCF production and leukocyte accumulation, stimulate prostaglandin secretion by the osteoblastic cells, potentiates the lipopolysaccharide stimulated interleukin 1 production by macrophages. In degradation of the fibrinogen and fibrin, they prolong the plasma clotting time more efficiently. Distribution of post-defense system. It activates the complement system through C3 convertase production. R-gingipain B easily degrades the C3, interfering with the production of opsonin C3b, insufficient phagocyte chemotaxis factors C5a, and membrane attack complex. It disturbs the neutrophil migration, protect the bacteria from phagocytosis, degrade the monocyte, rendering the leukocytes hyperresponsive to lipopolysaccharide. It inactivates interleukin 6, interleukin 8, interleukin 1b, tubulin necrosis factor alpha, and interferon gamma rapidly. Coming to Koch postulates, during the 1870s, Robert Koch developed a classical criteria by which a microorganism can be judged to be the causative agent in human infections. These criteria are known as Koch postulates. It stipulates that a causative organism must do the following criteria. Criteria number 1, it should be routinely isolated from the diseased individuals, should be grown in a pure culture in laboratory. It produces a similar disease when inoculated into susceptible laboratory animals, recovered from lesions in the diseased laboratory animal. Difficulty exists with regard to the application of these criteria to polymicrobial diseases, and the applicability of Koch postulates has been increasingly challenged in recent years. In the case of peritonitis, there are 3 primary problems. Number 1, inability to culture all the organisms that has been associated with the disease. Difficulties in inheriting the defining and cultural sites of active disease. And finally, lack of good animal model system for the study of peritonitis. In fact, if the ecological plaque hypothesis proves correct, it must be inherently impossible to fulfill the Koch postulates, because no single organism or group of organisms is responsible for all cases of disease. Coming to Socransky criteria, Sigmund Socransky, a researcher at Forsyth Dental Center in Boston, he proposed a criteria by which periodontal microorganism may be judged to be potential pathogen. According to these criteria, a potential pathogen must do the following criteria. It is associated with the disease as evidenced by increase in the number of organisms at disease sites. Be eliminated or decreased in size that demonstrate clinical resolution of disease with the treatment. It should induce a host response in the form of alteration in the host cellular or humoral immune response. It should be capable of causing disease in experimental animal models. Produce demonstrable virulence factors that are responsible for enabling a microorganism to cause the destruction of periodontal tissues. Conclusion: despite tremendous increase in our understanding of the pathogenic properties of specific plaque organism and the role of specific microorganism in the disease process, current therapy in periodontics is largely non-specific. The treatment that we utilize, example, oral hygiene measures, debridement by scaling and root planing, or even currently available mouthwashes, they are oriented towards reducing the accumulation of plaque on the teeth. Future development in periodontics, which involve the development of therapies which prevent colonization or growth of specific microorganisms that are known to function as pathogens in this environment. Thank you.